Don't forget cards at RitaYanez.com, and so am I. Under your bed. Turn on the light! Turn on the light! Turn on the light! Hi there, Pisces. This is your weekly reading for the week of November 30th. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season start, and I hope that all of your days are pleasant, sweet, and fulfilling. Now, the first thing I want to mention is that the Uranus-Pluto square is still in effect. In essence, it right now is within about a degree of exact. Of course, this will be in place or at least discernible until about the end of December. So we're still working with some disruptive types of energies. But remember that the universe, and I fully believe this, knows exactly what we need to learn, what we need to experience at any given time for our greater good. Now, sometimes these experiences are pleasant and sometimes they are very, very disruptive. Now, considering that Uranus is very surprise-like energy. Very often it can already be disruptive on its own, but Uranus is trying to get us to see what needs to be adjusted as well. Pluto wants the transformation to complete. Uranus says that if it takes too long, I'm going to stimulate the beginning of the process. So keep that in mind, that it's all in your own best interest and everybody has free will. And so people make their choices. We interact with each other. And even by extension, when somebody else makes a decision, there is, of course, the kind of energy that is all about to every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So, of course, we keep in mind that other people know they're living life in ways that may or may not affect other people. And sometimes people don't know this at all, or they don't care. Now, with that said, on Sunday, we had the energy of the sun in Sagittarius, which is your solar 10th house of career, fame, your reputation in the world, your highest aspirations and goals, squaring Neptune in Pisces, your solar first house, which has been there for quite some time, is direct and is helping you make sense of what it is that you want to be, complete the transformation, or at least begin the process of bringing it out into the open. Sun was also in Sagittarius, and that was conjunct Saturn up there in the 10th house. So again, we've got this energy that says, and the changes are going to happen. Saturn wants the right thing done at all times, whether we bicker about it or kick and scream, it is going to be what it is. And the sun here, of course, bringing some light, bringing attention to this house as well, makes it even more paramount that we listen to Saturn's advice and that we heed what it is that he wants us to make use of and how he wants us to invest ourselves and our talents and skill sets in the real world. On Monday, the card that you've drawn is the Empress in reverse. This is a card that indicates that there's someone who is somewhat of a mother figure. This could be your mother, but more than likely it's somebody in your world who represents the mother. This could be a person who's expectant or already has children of her own. This could be a person who steps in and makes her place that of the stepmother, for example, and it could even be a relative that does this. But there's something going on here with the Empress because this person isn't exactly what she appears to be. Maybe you're a man with a relationship, in a relationship with this woman, and you realize, you know what, she was nothing that she pretended to be. And remember, I told you last week to consider what was going on in 2007 so that you can decipher what the code is for what the lessons are now. There's a piece of information from 2007 or a particular experience that was hitting a crescendo, and that began the process of what it is that we're working out. The final stages, the last final conflicts are now. Before the end of this month of December 2015, you'll know what you've got to work with. There's probably very little now that you can't imagine is tied to 2007, but there definitely is an issue here that, all right, so you could look back and most of you are going to be able to notice that there was something you should have done differently. You shouldn't have done it all. You shouldn't have handled it this way. And I'm not ameliorating the situation by just throwing out the words shoulda, woulda, coulda. It's just that now it is done. That situation did occur. in whatever way it was final, there seemed to have been some loose ends that, because of it being so long and drawn out, or so over invested in one way or another, or God forbid, there were people that held retribution or vindictiveness in their hearts, then it does come to bear, like the Empress would, that there's something here that you need to notice was not what you thought it would be, or it didn't turn out the way you thought it would. Now, of course, considering the Empress represents the gestational, there could be something that just doesn't involve the woman or the mother at all, but just the grand scheme of the entire pregnancy, as it were, of this very long, very complex process. So the Empress here is also reminding us that people, while they can come across a certain way, Neptune is telling you to rub your eyes and look again, because this person is not who she appears to be. And it very likely is a female. There's very little chance, in my opinion, that this is going to be a very feminine male, because this is just one of the cards that's difficult to dispute. Does obviously indicate a natural and biologically exact woman. This is a woman through and through. So don't confuse it with any other gender issues, because she definitely is somebody who is the mother figure. And there is something here that the universe is trying to help you wrap up. Even if you don't want it wrapped up, even if you feel like you didn't get the result that you wanted, it's okay now. It's time to let it go. Tuesday, we have the Nine of Cups in reverse. And this card already comes with a catch-22, in that when it's in its upright position, it talks about having what you think you wanted or what you thought you wanted, and realizing it didn't bring the satisfaction that you expected anyway. That would go hand in hand with the Empress. The idea here being a little more materialistic, in that, look, I got what I wanted. I've got this, I've got that, this accoutrement here, this possession, this item, this stick of furniture there, and yet you're like, wow, and I'm not even happy with the way it turned out. Now, the reality is that in the reverse, of course, it is a little more pronounced, in my opinion, but I think that this is workable, doable, that you can still extract some lesson from what this is by just paying attention to the subtle signs in the environment. Now, the astrology of Tuesday is Mercury in Sagittarius, your solar 10th house, trining Uranus in Aries, your solar second house of income, possessions, and all of the above. So when we've got an issue such as this, Saturn wants you to look and see, take stock of your possessions, what you've accomplished thus far with the money that you make, or the pennies that you save, or the thing that you bought, or the new computer, or the car, or the bike, or the wardrobe. Was it worth it? Saturn is asking you to look at this because there's something that you've been chasing, or something that you've been fighting, or some transformation that you've been resisting, which reminds me of what happens when people make the final realization that you can't take it with you. So with that said, Saturn asks you, what is really important in your life? And even if you have the answer, but you don't want to utter it because now it's broken, or it can't be repaired, or it's irretrievable, irreparable, it doesn't matter. It's just asking you these questions to see if you've learned a lesson, that just because the bully on the playground stole all the marbles from the other kids in an unfair move and said that this was good enough, I win, it doesn't bring satisfaction, does it? Sometimes we think and we say to ourselves, well, I wish I could have done it differently, and then we get very upset because we can't make a difference. Yes, we can. The goal of the whole exercise of making sense, of using introspection, of using reflection, of using meditation to discover what it is that's bothering us, is to ensure, as you'll see here in a little bit, that we don't commit those same errors, or that we don't let ourselves fall victim or prey to the same scenarios. Also, Mercury in Sagittarius is going to square Chiron in Pisces here, Pisces being your solar first house. So there is some wounding. There is some sadness in you. There is some situation that you wish you could fix. And if you're more evolved, you'll already know what I'm talking about, and you know that you've been dealing with it. For those of you who are not necessarily under-evolved, but maybe just not aware of what it is that's happening right there under your nose, or surely in your peripheral, this is the kind of energy that says, you know what, I know your feelings are hurt. I know that you've been hurt, and you may have even hurt others, but now it is time to put it to bed, to lay it to rest, get it done before the end of this month, because this is the chance that you've got to make it all go away. Also, Mercury in Sagittarius will sextile Apollo in Libra, Libra being your 8th house of partnership, any energies that result from the partnership of another person, whether that is a married and committed relationship or the person that is your longtime lover that you've lived with forever. You know, the energy of a person is very stable and very much a fixture in our lives. It could be a business partner as well. It could be somebody that we're working in tandem with to create the effect, the results which show up in the 8th house of Libra. Now, what's going on here in this 8th house is that Apollo is asking you to take the initiative, that there's no other captain for this ship because this is your ship and you've got to be the captain. If some corrections need to be made, no matter how uncomfortable they are, you need to be the one to grab the wheel and get it done. So in this case, there could be some issues with transformation and everything else the house rules, which is death, rebirth, transformation, taxes, community debt, community assets, divorces from the past, marriages in the present that aren't going well, marriages that are going well and just need some tweaks to the community property and or the way that different joint ventures like taxes are handled. So here Apollo is saying, take the lead because this is your opportunity. Let it go and the door will close on you. Sun in Sagittarius will sextile house Aries in Aquarius. Aquarius being your 12th house of self-undoing, of confinement, of the past, of past lives, past associations, problems from childhood that were buried down deep to not come up and disturb the adult. And you've always heard the term, I'm sure, of, healing the wounded inner child. Well, that's what happens with the 12th house, is that when we have an opportunity like Ceres here saying, where is the power struggle? Does the inner child struggle against the adult? Does the wounded adult struggle with what was the ideal in the child? What is the issue here that needs to be corrected? Now, Ceres is going to remind you that there's going to have to be a level of compromise and or acceptance. And the sooner you get that done, the sooner it flows forward and better and more fair and stable interactions come in the future as a result. Wednesday, we have the Temperance card, which is absolutely a trine card. And this is a card that indicates that if you can make sense and heal the past with the present, make sense of what it all means, even if it is only as much that you can say, I don't understand it, but I'm good with it. Make your peace with it now, because the universe is getting ready to close this chapter, close the book, put it in a box, put it into storage, and it will put the key away for you so that you're not tempted to reach back into the past for any reason. On Wednesday here, the energy is that of Mercury in Sagittarius in your 10th house opposing Psyche in Gemini, your solar 4th house of home and family. So there's something that is changing about the family dynamic, the structure. Now it could be with your family of origin. Maybe your parents are going through a divorce. Maybe there's an illness in the family. Something is being reinterpreted in terms of the way that they act. Maybe your parents, if they're still together, have realized the error of some ways. Maybe they want to talk to you about having raised you in a way that they thought was right, and now they realize that there was some problem there that they may feel is the reason why you're having problems in your life. If that's the case, even if it doesn't make sense, let them make their amends, let them apologize, because there's something here that needs to be transformed. Because the question is, when we have Psyche in any place, why are you putting up with this? What is it about your home life, your foundation, the people that comprise your family, whether nuclear or extended? Why are you putting up with it? Because the universe is going to say it's going to be over here sometime soon, and either you're the one that takes control and creates the summary of what it is or what it's going to have been, or the universe does it for you. And remember that we've also got Mars and Venus in Virgo at the same time, which is your solar 7th house of partnerships, relationships, marriages, committed partnerships, business alliances, where you've got two entrepreneurs that create a storefront on the internet and they move forward with it. So here there's something that needs to be transformed as it relates to what your home is, what your family is, what you've been dealing with, what no longer works, whether it's your fault or someone else's fault. It doesn't matter, because it has something to do with your committed or married partnership, or that which comprises a partnership. Like I said, in case it's like a business relationship with somebody, whether it's your family member or not, doesn't matter. Thursday, we have the Page of Pentacles in reverse. So there could be some news related to a child in your life who could be of the earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, or it could just be that they are somehow associated with finance in your world, and or maybe this is a child that you pay child support on. Maybe there's a transformation here that needs to take place, but it's not going to, because everybody's exercising free will. It could be that you get a message from the environment about your child, or you hear a rumor about that kid and you weren't aware this was going on at all. Now, with that said, if it doesn't pertain to or has no connection to children whatsoever, it's obvious that there's a financial matter that you thought was going to reap better benefits, or that some compromise was going to help eliminate, oops, pardon me, just a moment. So I apologize for that, but there could be an issue here that you're just not really happy with the returns of your business that as it is right now, or your job, or your financial situation. And it could be that you just find out that your home still is underwater, and you were hoping that there was some money there that you could effectively pay down some more expensive debts. Now, with that said, on Thursday, we've got Mercury in Sagittarius, semi-sextile to Bacchus in Capricorn, which is your solar 11th house. So there could be a change in your friends or your group associations. And just a moment, I'm so Hi, sorry about that. So also here, the semi-sextile to Bacchus in Capricorn is telling you that there is something here that you hope isn't real or hope isn't happening. You really want to find a way to escape the truth, and you say to yourself, but I realize I can't avoid it. It just is what it is. It's up out there for everyone to see. Also, Mercury in Sagittarius will trine Minerva in Leo. So for you, Leo is your solar 6th house that has something to do with your work, with your structure, with the schedule of what you do every day, sickness, health, all of the issues that relate to maybe even things that are going on with your children. And the children, of course, are in the 5th house, but of course, we see the result of what their interactions are with us or with others in the 6th house as well. Service to others usually relates to children. So Minerva is saying, be smart about this. Remember that if they're adult children, they're making their choices, or if they're old enough to make those choices, this is what they choose. And it would be better served for you to be more understanding of their position or perspective than it would be to just, lament over it or criticize it, because it will only cause more of a bridge to more troubled waters. It's just going to bring more of the same in, where we would like these things to flow under the bridge and away from us so that we can create a new reality with them. Mercury and Sagittarius at the same time will sextile Cupid in Libra, your solar 8th house. Again, that house being somewhat simulated, which probably is more likened to sometimes we go into retail therapy mode this time of year. And it really isn't a good idea, because it seems to me that even what you invest in is not going to bring you long-term happiness. Or if you give your kids all the material things in the world and you go out of your way to screw up your budget to help them, and you realize that they don't even appreciate it the way that you expected. Loyalty is a fickle thing. Of course, blood being thicker than water, that's one thing. But when we try to interfere with people's free will, it really isn't going to matter whether you're a relative or not. They're going to see you as a peer or even just as another pawn. So remember to choose wisely what it is that you say and do this time of year, because it's going to be rather permanent at this point. Friday, we have the 3 of Wands, and this is the energy of knowing that you may have already made peace with a few issues in your life, but there's more on the horizon that you recognize needs to be up for discussion and needs to be solidified, concretized, or somehow identified, categorized, and set into their proper pigeonholes, because there's not a whole lot more that we can do with it here. Of course, this could indicate that there's a partnership that is available, and it could be that we've got an extra third wheel, if you will, that there's one more person who shouldn't be involved in this. I'm not sure right now if this is a romantic situation. I am going to say that there's an indication that there could be another person involved, but that obviously would only happen if a relationship is already very weak, or there are some problems that have not been corrected, and now they're just out there for review and discussion. So keep that in mind. Mercury in Sagittarius will square Jupiter and Virgo, and that again relates to your marriage or committed relationship. If you're not married and your dating relationship has gone this far, you might want to figure out what's the fly in the ointment, because there could be one more person there than you expected. Saturday, we have the King of Swords, and this is a card that indicates that maybe what needs to happen here is to rely on communication, intellect. Don't get involved into name-throwing, mudslinging problems such as this. Be very incisive and to the point. And if decisive is all you can manage and incisive isn't necessarily what you want to do, then remember, just get to the point and get it done. Sunday, we have the 3 of Cups in reverse, which could indicate that here's where we've got, again, the potential for one more person in a relationship, a situation, or in consideration that just doesn't mesh correctly with what the status quo is or what you'd like to move this to. So don't freak out wondering that your spouse or partner is cheating on you, because I can guarantee you, when the universe wants you to know this information, you won't have to dig, you won't have to research, you won't have to hack a phone or an email. You'll find out. But this could also indicate that in your life, because we got the 2-3 here, that this could be that you've got a child in your family that is on the brink of a divorce, or they're not giving you the whole picture, or that child of yours is not telling you something that they are avoiding, so they really don't know that their marriage is on the edge, that it could result in a divorce. And it could be that there are 3 people involved, 3 children involved, 3 families involved, and that this is getting out of control. What I'm going to tell you here is that the Sun in Sagittarius will sextile Mars in Libra. And with that said, that there's the indication that, again, we've got that 8th house stimulated, and you could be prone to being angry or involving yourself in somebody else's life or decisions where you don't belong. And let your children come to you to ask you if they want advice, or your family member or your friend. Don't give the unsolicited advice until you're asked for it. If this is in your current relationship, if your marriage is the one that's shaky or really needed to be dissolved years ago, maybe what needs to happen here is a heart-to-heart. The Sun in Sagittarius, semi-sextile Pluto in Capricorn, your 11th house. It just seems like there's too many people involved in this. Maybe too many people giving opinions. Maybe friends that are being a problem and not a solution. Remember, your friends are your friends because they're not your family. They shouldn't be meddling in your affairs, and likewise vice versa. But with that said, Mercury in Sagittarius squares Hygeia and Virgo. Again, the universe is saying you didn't learn the lesson last time. What is it that you need to learn this time? Is it because you're a serial dater, or is it that now you've become a serial marital person? You've been married one too many times, or maybe something else is going on. Maybe the real lesson is in preventing this from happening again by staying single for a while. Maybe it is one of your children that has been married too many times. Maybe there's something that they haven't acknowledged needed to not happen. I remind people all the time that it happens to the best of us. I think I'm pretty good, but I've been married and divorced twice. And so for me, the lesson really was that maybe I'm not a person who should be married. Maybe I just need to continue to focus on my kids, because I don't really feel like marriage is something that I'm interested in anymore. It was more with me and my family a cultural inclination that my mother was saying, where it's like, well, you're going to have to find a husband. And then later we had a discussion just this year where I said, why didn't you just tell me that I didn't need anybody and that I needed to be strong and not make the same mistakes you did? And she said, well, I didn't know. Well, that's just part of what comes to being like me. I'm a first-generation American, born Cuban. And so, of course, cultural things, what they are sometimes things we need to get over and we need to re-identify, because the whole world evolves. We don't need to stay stuck in whatever old ingrained patterns and behaviors and thought forms are there when we were growing up. Sometimes what I tell people is absolutely true about their natal charts and their blueprints. You don't have to take any of this. You can make it what you want it to be. Now, Mars in Libra is the big news as it squares off with Pluto in Capricorn. Here comes Mike Tyson and here comes Evander Holyfield. So understanding that Libra is that 8th house again and that Capricorn is your 11th house again, some decisions need to be made, my friend, as to how much involvement anybody should have in your personal life. If you're getting a divorce, make it private and quick. If your children are divorcing, make it private and hope to God it could be quick. Don't get involved in telling people in your 11th house circle of friends or family, people that you associate with, all of the mudslinging about that person's ex-husband, that person's ex-wife. Oh, because he was such an ass. Look at this. She's just such a tyrant. Because sooner or later, those kids, which are the result of that 7th house of marriage, are going to remember what was said, every word. They're like little programmable recorders, and they come into this world saying, what did you say about my mother? I thought so. So make good choices. You're wrapping up a major phase of your life. And if anybody needs to stay conscious and aware and not floating off into Never Never Land, it's you, Pisces. It will work out perfectly. Let it all wrap up now. Exit stage left.